And then there's the new steel curtain, the NFL's best defense last year, thanks to Dick LeBeau, who I think everybody acknowledges is one of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time. I want to see, are there ways that we can reduce the constant threat of lawsuits that doctors and hospitals experience, because I do think that that causes defensive medicine. Since I've talked to enough doctors who feel they're forced to practice defensive medicine, I've also directed my Secretary of Health and Human Services to move forward with programs that will help us put patient safety first while still allowing doctors to focus on practicing medicine. And we are working to...
What position did you play?
I played a little bit of linebacker, and I played offensive right tackle and defensive.
There's a guy named Fairley who won the Lombardi Trophy as the top defensive lineman in the nation. Now our assistance is expanding Israel's defensive capabilities so that more Israelis can live free from the fear of rockets and ballistic missiles. It was a defensive slugfest that wouldn't be settled until overtime.
Our offensive team, as we did in 07 and 8, had only one turnover in the entire playoffs, and our defensive team that had given up 400 points during the regular season gave up only 56 points in the playoffs.
First Lieutenant Schwab's action so disorganized hostile infantry resistance that the enemy forces withdrew, abandoning their formidable defensive line.
Defense cooperation guidelines, wide-ranging security and device cooperation would be.
You had a dominating defensive line with guys like Michael Bennett and Red Bryant, Brandon Mebane and Brandon Mebane's belly roll dance, all combining to. We can't do that here in the White House. Our alliance should extend these defensive measures for as long as necessary, because the defense of Tallinn and Riga. But keep in mind that when you have U.S. forces, other advanced nations going after ISIL and putting them on the defensive and putting them on the run, it's pretty remarkable what then ground forces can do, even if initially they were on the defensive against ISIL. Because of you, we have blunted their momentum and we have put them on the defensive. So there's not going to be any specific point at which I say, clearly lethal defensive weapons would be appropriate here. But our coalition is on the offensive. ISIL is on the defensive, and ISIL is going to lose. You had 3 more All-Americans: center Ryan Kelly, defensive lineman Ashawn Robinson, linebacker Reggie Ragland, who returned for his senior year to make good on the pledge he made to his mama that he'd get a degree. Today, on the ground in Syria and in Iraq, ISIL is on the defensive. Where? You had an extraordinary defensive line, a lockdown secondary. Can't say that he will end up implementing, but the conversations themselves have been cordial as opposed to defensive in any way.